Again, welcome to the 2024 Annual General Meeting of the English-Speaking Union. I'm Quinn Pieper, Chairman of the United States English-Speaking Union. It's a wonderful privilege to have you all here. This is a very vital occasion for us to be together so we can review our year and the year to come. Thank you so much. It's also a moment to take inventory of who we are and where we're going, and to recognize some very special people with us. First, I'd like to recognize Charles Byrne, the Director General of ESU Dartmouth House. Charles, will you stand? Charles is the new director, and I think on his first day,
Am I supposed to come up here now?
Not now.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Just in a minute.
Okay.
In a minute. I think I was with Charles on his first day at Dartmouth House back in March when I was in the UK on some ESU business, and so he's been with us all weekend. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the whole international community who are here. These are people who've traveled far and wide, as far as Mongolia and Pakistan and all over. So would those members please stand? I'd like to recognize you all too. We've had a terrific meeting running concurrently with the ESU US meeting this weekend. I'd also like to express heartfelt appreciation for the Cleveland branch, which has done a spectacular job of arranging the programs for this weekend. I have seen Neil Diamond and heard Gustav Mahler at a point where I thought, how can this be? The English-Speaking Union National Chairman is speechless because that symphonic program was like a lifetime rich event. I mean, it was just an awesome event. And Bill Kennedy, are you here? Here you go. Bill has arranged this. Bill invited me to come speak, I guess about close to 2 years ago. And they put on such a show for me and took me to the symphony, to the Cleveland Philharmonic, which is, one of our country's best symphonies that we have. And the place, Severance Hall, is spectacular. Took me to the Museum of Art, and I decided that weekend, this is a town that needs a annual general meeting. So Bill, thank you for rising to the occasion, and thank you for being such a wonderful host. Bill was even, after the symphony last night, in the bar, which I think we could have had a meeting at the bar last night after that too. So, and I'm glad to see so many people at the bar may have made it to the meeting today. Now I'd like to talk about a few key highlights from the past program year. Kansas City was the site of our annual general meeting last year. Are people here from Kansas City? And I know they are. Will you please stand? Really want to thank you still for the hard work and the wonderful meeting that you put on in Kansas City last year. It was absolutely fantastic from the moment that I walked in and was taken to a barbecue restaurant, which they're famous for in Kansas City. But that was a very impactful, fruitful meeting, and thank you so much to Kansas City. That meeting, though, was the beginning of a launch of a multi-pronged growth initiative. We were all about growth, particularly growth in the branches, and it's set in a very ambitious course for our ESU's future. The momentum that we started in Kansas City continues this weekend here in Cleveland and will continue in the future to position us for further growth and expansion. Projects that we have completed and that we will continue to work on include the use of branch websites, introducing digital membership, strengthening in-person and digital communications, leading new partnerships, and developing leadership and accountability at the branch board level. This is already having an impact on our effectiveness. How many branches out there have a new website and are actively using the website? Terrific, terrific. We do have some more people to go. I'd like to acknowledge Jeff Schnabel. Will you stand, Jeff? Jeff is doing all of this. Jeff Schnabel of Kansas City, and thank God he hasn't sent us a bill, because it is a lot of volunteerism, a lot of work, and he is a stalwart worker on this website promotion. Another event that happened last year was our Lord Morris program. I'm the Honorary Consul to Great Britain, His Britannic Majesty's Honorary Consul to Great Britain for Louisiana, and I used some influence to get Karen Pierce, our ambassador, or the British ambassador in D.C., to host a party, a lovely evening, and it allowed our Lord Morris scholars to come together for a reunion, and I think the goal was originally about $30,000 or $40,000. It was so successful we raised $65,000. Any members here that were present at that reception? Karen Blair Brand, Mary Lee. It was a gorgeous, elegant evening. The British Embassy had been in the process of renovation, and as always, you can multiply everything times 3. You know, three extra years to finish, $3 extra to finish. So it had just opened. We were really, really fortunate to be able to have that opportunity. We also witnessed the return of the National Shakespeare Competition to the Mitzi Newhouse Theater in Lincoln Center, and that was fantastic. Can I see hands of those branches that send a Shakespeare student? I think this is, someone has called the Shakespeare competition what the Girl Scout cookies are to the Girl Scouts. It's one of our signature programs, and I think it just opens up a wealth of experience for these young people, as well as their parents. In recent years, we've invited the parents and the teachers to come to New York, and you're going to hear about a new opportunity in April 2026, where we're going to invite you to the Shakespeare competition in New York. So many of you have raised money for this program for so long, but you've never actually been, and we're going to fix that. In June 2024, it was the 10th anniversary of the Andrew Romay New Immigrants Center, and there was a fundraiser party in New York City, which was very successful and empowering for that group of people. We continue to serve those people who are learning English as a second language. T-Lab scholarships. Last year, the count was 43 high school teachers that were sent for professional development courses in the United Kingdom to enrich their teaching practices. 14 students left the U.S. and went to the U.K. as part of the Secondary School Exchange Program, another program. And I think we have alumni in the audience of the Secondary School Exchange. Can I see some hands of people who are alumni? I thought we had one that was here. It's a very, very fabulous program that we are continuing to support. The middle school debate organized 12 tournaments hosted by New York, the Garden State Jersey Shore Debate League, developing critical thinking and speaking communication skills with young students. So this continues to be a very exciting program in our portfolio. The Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series, we had Sally Bedell Smith, a famous royal biographer. She's always on TV anytime there's a death, a coronation, something of the royal family. And we had Baroness Catherine Meyer, who's a member of the House of Lords, who came over and talked about her life. And she was the wife of a very important ambassador, Meyer, Christopher Meyer, yes, who actually in younger days was at one of their parties at the embassy in D.C. These were 2 outstanding speakers, and there will be more outstanding speakers to come. And Julia, would you stand? Julia's going to speak later, but this is Julia Vanderwater, who is going to head up our Evelyn Wrench Committee. Thank you. ESU patron tours. This is something near and dear to my heart. I did ESU patron tours, I think the first one was 2002, and I do see some alumni here of ESU patron tours. I particularly see people who were at Ardgowan, the Scottish house. Lady Shaw Stewart had us at Ardgowan for several years. Can I see hands of people who were there? It was a spectacular time, a great house, but it allowed us to come together as patrons. And this has continued. I think we started the patron tour up again with our Queen Mary II Atlantic Crossing. That was in 2023. And people were here. Karen Carpowich, Ian, who else was on that? Who else was on the... Mary Lee, Michael Harold in the back. And then this past year, well, not this past year, but actually, a month ago, the patron tour went to the Veneto in Italy. We were studying the lost years of Shakespeare. Shakespeare was missing for 8 years, and was he a playwright? Was he in Italy, was he a tutor? Was he did he serve in the military? Who knows? But so many plays were set in Italy that we decided to explore this. And Catherine Loomis, our resident Shakespeare professor, was there to guide us through. And we went with Count Stefano Aluffi's tour group called Private Views of Italy, and it was spectacular. Stefano brought a PhD architecture professor from the University of Bologna. And at one point, one of our participants on the trip said, "My God, this is like going to graduate school again." But it was beautiful. The scenery was beautiful. The camaraderie was wonderful. It's the sort of thing that we want to continue. And you'll hear about next year's tour, patron tour, which is going to be on the Sea Cloud in July. But I want to stress what these achievements represent for this organization. Each one of these programs that we do, and there is tireless work on behalf of the National Board as well as our staff and at the headquarters. These programs embody the core values of our English-speaking union, fostering connections, building bridges, promoting education, unlocking opportunities, and celebrating cultural change. It shows that our ESU represents a very relevant, vibrant, and impactful organization in today's world. And moving forward, which we're going to do today at this meeting and set the stage for next year, we want to build on these successes, always seeking on new ways to expand our reach and deepen our impact. None of these accomplishments that I have mentioned so far would be possible without the devotion of our National Board, and I'd like to recognize our National Board now. Would you all please stand? We have a very active board. You can ask around. It is not a rubber stamp board. People are very vocal. They're heard. We meet probably more than what you ever dreamt we would meet, but they're a wonderful group of people. They travel all over to help us run this great organization. And I also, at this time, before we get on with the meeting, have to thank our national staff. The staff at the headquarters are absolutely superlative. We have met a lot of demands from our board and from members to reduce costs, which means we have had to eliminate some positions at the national board, at the national staff level. The staff people that you see are working, sometimes doing multiple jobs, and they're just terrific, and they have such great devotion for the English-speaking union beyond a typical staff that you would see in a nonprofit organization, and I want to recognize all of them. Could the staff please stand? Okay, as we continue with the proceedings of the annual general meeting, let's carry forward the momentum of the past and move it to the future, and thank you for all your support. At this time, I would like to call on Susan Ferris, who is going to talk about the slate of candidates for this year's board. Susan.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm having some hearing difficulties, so I have to use you as my guidepost on volume and so forth. The most important thing I have to do today, I believe, is introduce you to the class of 26 nominees that the board approved yesterday and that you folks need to do today. And I believe two of the gentlemen, they're all gentlemen, we hope, we're sure. Anyway, the four gentlemen are Dr. Mark Lawhorn from Hawaii, and Mark, you're here. Would you stand? There we go. Thank you for being here. John Rampe from Cleveland. John Sapp.
Here he is.
I'm sorry, I did that too quickly. Very good. It's good to have both of you here. And Mark Walter just joined the slate a couple of days ago. He's from Atlanta, so he isn't able to be with us today. But thank you for being here. And before I have Karen come up and officiate, I want to say one thing about how important you are to this board. The board is no better than the people that it has on board, and you are responsible for a lot of that. You raise your hand and say, someone in my branch is doing wonderful work, and you make it known. 2-3 people on a nominating committee can't do that by themselves. There's just no way. The diversity that's required, the perspective that's requires a lot of different people feeding into the system. So I am encouraging you, if you are someone who thinks you have someone on your branch or someone in your community, someone in your world that would be a good ESU board member, reach out to Deborah Unger. She's agreed to be the follow-through, and she will put you in touch with Dr. Mary Lee. You stand, Mary, please, who's on the nominating committee, thank you, or me, or Karen, or whomever would be appropriate. It would be wise for us to have as much input as possible. Karen.
Okay, I am as secretary for the
Make sure
committee, and I'm overseeing the election, and I just wanted to mention that 60 days before we convened the annual general meeting, we had sent out to all the membership, to the presidents of all the branches, proxy forms. We at this point have received the correct number of proxies to approve the slate. So anyone, we have copies of people we've received proxies for. If anybody wants to inspect them, they are on the computer, which legally we have to say that they're available to open to the members of the organization to look at if need be. So essentially the slate is approved, but at this particular point, I would like the chairman of the board to call a vote of all those in present who vote on the project.
Okay, I'd like to call a vote for the nominating committee. Do I hear a motion from the floor?
So moved.
Okay. Do I hear a first? Second? Any abstentions? Any noes? There's a no here? Okay. But just one. Okay. Well, I think then the resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, and welcome, new board.
Welcome. We appreciate your service, and get ready. You're going to go to work. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Tony, our comptroller. He will go through our finances. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we're going to go through the finances for fiscal year 24 first. In fiscal year '24, the organization realized its operating deficit of $474,000. We had an overall drawdown from our endowment of 10.6%. Our fiscal year 24-25 budget, we're anticipating an operating deficit of $106,000, and we're anticipating a drawdown of 5.8%. So we're going in the right direction.
Excuse me. I have to interrupt at this point and really look at the number from the endowment drawdown. I think our board, myself, are especially proud that we have halved it. So, and it's been with his good work too.
Thanks. Okay, so if we take a look at our 24-25 budget, we're showing anticipated revenues of $2.8 million coming from the different sources. Part of this revenue is coming from an employee retention credit with the IRS, and that's about $247,000, including interest. Our expenses are totaling almost $3 million, $2.95 million, and is being distributed between management in general of 13%, development 10%, and then our programs at 72%. Our trends over the last couple of years has been, we've been realizing a deficit, and as Quinn just pointed out, we're starting to budget so we can come off of that deficit. And this year, and I'm sure there'll be more talk about this, we brought on a consulting firm to help us on our top line to bring in more revenues. Our investment portfolio, as of June 30, 2024, there was a total of $14 million in our portfolio, and it is divided up between unrestricted funds. Those are funds that can be easily allocated to different activities of $12 million. Permanently restricted, our endowments of $1 million, and temporary restricted of $791,000. And if we take a look at our assets, we're holding cash on hand as of June of $302,000. We just talked about investments, which actually were up from last year, about $2 million. And overall, our balance sheet is a strong balance sheet. Our auditors, I don't think we have a slide in here, rate the organization pretty high when it comes to our ability to keep the organization going for, I think, about 7 years, even if we didn't raise another dollar of funds. So we're in good shape, but of course we need to be prudent and financially sound. In terms of the audit, we use PKF O'Connor Davis as our auditors over the last couple of years. We had our audit done, completed for fiscal year 23, and we came out with a clean audit. And we are in the process right now of going through our fiscal year 24 audit. I think that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Tony. And thanks for all the hard work you do. I want to thank all of the branches who have made this clean audit possible. This involves turning in the dreaded 990 form, which no one likes doing. But unless you want to get to know the IRS really well on a face-to-face basis, it behooves you to get those in. It's onerous, but we appreciate the hard work that you do for that. Let's talk about fundraising. You know, I've been director of development, head of the development committee for far too long. If anybody is interested in that position, please see me after the meeting. But it is exciting. I do love this aspect of what I do. And let's look at some figures here. This is the 2024 campaigns. Board giving and member support. Our national board members if you look at the slide, the board expectation to join the board is to give $1,000. And there's an aspirational $5,000, which we would like to have, which you can exceed, so you choose. This is important. I think when I became the United States ESU president in 2014, I established this board giving campaign because we find that people in the organization like to give to a specific endowment that they love and they are passionate about, like the Shakespeare or the Wrench or the Lord Morris. But as far as getting the day-to-day operating costs, the indirect costs that it costs the ESU to run, we need help. We always need help for this. And so this is what our board does. And they give to this, and the goal this year is $80,000. We've raised $46,500. We have some extra time to go to make it. And let's move to next slide. The National Shakespeare Competition. Again, I told you that we went back to the Mitzi Newhouse Theater, Lincoln Center. The goal was $20,000, and the status so far is $31,000. So as you can see that when people are passionate about a particular program, they give. Several ESU branches have provided major support for this, and we appreciate it so much, including Central Florida, Denver, which is the sponsor of the Broadway experience, and Cleveland. I mentioned last night at the patron party, Cleveland started the People's Choice Awards first place prize, and we thank generous individual donors who have contributed to the Shakespeare. I talked about the 2024 National Patron Tour, Shakespeare and Palladio in the Veneto. This was very successful, and we'll move on next year to the Sea Cloud. Our immigrant programs, ARNIC, the goal was $60,000. We raised $68,000, almost $70,000 for this with the 10th anniversary celebration, which was last April. And then the ESU immigrant program operations, the individual goal is $3,000, and we've raised $2,175. International Scholarship and Debate, the Lord Morris, I mentioned at the British Embassy party. The initial goal, I think, was $40,000. We actually we changed the goal to 65, and then we raised 69,000. ESU Secondary School Exchange, you can see the goal, 10,000. We raised 35,000, and the Middle School Debate, 15,000 is the goal. We're almost there. Any questions on development? Any questions on development? I think there's some exciting things in the future. And so now I would like to turn it over to Karen Karpowicz, our President and Executive Director, who will give her annual report.
Anyway, thank you all for being here. It's enjoyable seeing you all in person. I know I see your faces on the screen all the time. You know, we have regular leadership meetings, and I do encourage all of you, if you're not attending those online meetings, to be part of those leadership discussions. A lot of the things that we discussed here today those dialogues are going to be continued, and they are a resource that allows us to help you manage throughout the year. So I just want to encourage you to do that. Last year, in Kansas City, we started to work on the whole idea of the task force, and I think Susan Phillips on our board and president of our Atlanta branch is going to be talking more about the specifics of the task force. But at that particular time, we were hit by a very, big challenge, which is this deficit of where we're taking out 10% of our endowment. Legally, as a nonprofit, we are required by law every year to withdraw at least 5 to 7%. The last few years, with the changes, with COVID, and with everything else, we've been drawing down about 10%. So a lot of that focus is going to be on alleviating that deficit, but also alleviating it in a creative way. And that's really through growth of our membership, growth of our branches, and growth of our programs. So last year in Kansas City, I had come up, can we go back one more? So the growth and value and mission. And I wanted to just reiterate that the creation of this task force, the task force is there to build capacity. And what capacity means is for us to have the infrastructure to allow us to do the things that we can do. And that's where you see the work that we're doing on the website, all the work that's been done on the rolling membership renewals. The board has just put $100,000 into covering a new customer relationship model, which will be rolling out, which has to do with you managing our membership database, all of which is costing money. And it's costing manpower and skilled manpower to be able to do it. But it's all being done to help grow the organization. And as a key component of that, it's being done to grow the branches, to create the infrastructure to do that. So why don't we move on from here? Resilience. I think that being more nimble in the post-COVID environment, this was something that I particularly mentioned last year, and I think that branches are really stepping up. And I was talking to Jeff Schnabel before about the fact that 2 years ago, the percentage of branches that didn't even use their local websites. Now branches who've never used websites before are asking questions, are exploring them, are saying they want to use them. And it's a big challenge because we're doing it through our volunteers, but we're getting those websites up and we're getting them done. And we're really trying to educate branches as to how to use them as effective marketing tools to promote the organization. Again, I mentioned the digital membership renewal, which is vital to the ability to grow membership. We have to be able to sign up a member, and a member has to get a 12-month membership whenever they sign up. We can do that now. The increase in our membership fees, and this is something that had not been done for a very long time. And I'm happy to say that most branches have really kind of stepped up to the challenge. And I'm very grateful to all of you to realize the issue and to act on that particular issue. So thank you again. Next one. Leadership building. I mean, the breakout sessions, all the breakout sessions this weekend was on leadership and leadership development. There's nothing more that I can say about that. If the organization is going to put money and effort into capacity building, our branches have to be ready and willing and have the manpower and the ability to take those changes and use them effectively. And I think that this is a crucial step in the development of the organization. And I also think the other thing, which is change, and with change is hard. And I think that oftentimes, especially with newer members to the boards and everything else, that the accountability to the board has to really be reinforced. And the accountability also means, being a board member, stepping up and doing the work required, but also at the same time also being able to create a collaborative working environment and also create new leadership opportunities, especially at the presidential level. Next, please. Communications, I can't talk about that more. In person is back. Let's face it, we're back here in person, but at the same time we have been profoundly affected by online, and how you as leaders integrate those two components is the challenge at hand. And then the next one, financial. We just really talked about that. Membership fee increases, just one more, go back to that again. Local funding, we had a breakout session yesterday where I was part of a subgroup which talked about funding opportunities at a local level. And I think that it's something that has been a challenge to many of you, that the organization is really going to be behind supporting you with regard to local fundraising efforts, even it's in relationship to shared knowledge and shared information with the branches is a very powerful tool. And then finally, partnership, not going it alone. The use of local partnerships to advance mission and engage new members. It was very important at this particular event when we first said we were doing it this weekend, a few of our members who are also members of the Jane Austen Society came to me and said, oh, it's also the weekend of, the Jane Austen Society event. And I said, that's terrific. We'll be in the same town together. That's something we should use. That's something we should feature, which is why our speaker last night was from the Jane Austen Society. I wanted to illustrate that those kinds of partnerships and those kinds of engagements are at the core of what you do. Like-minded people are interested in what you do, and you are interested in what they do, and that should be shared, and that should be engaged, and that should be grown. And then finally, impact. Our biggest assets are our constituents. And it's always amazing to me when I hear branches say, well, we don't have new members. And then I say, are you looking at your TLAB scholars? Are you looking at your Shakespeare students or their parents? Are you looking at those people that have been impacted by our programs? And are you trying to understand who they are and trying to talk to them in the language that they understand? And if Kate Nitzkin was here, she could talk a mile about that in terms of her board with regard to getting her scholars on her board and everything else. But I think it's a very important aspect of what we do. And then empowerment, roles and relationship of national to branches. And I'm just going to end this with a quote. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Helen Keller. Thank you all. I want to also mention, when I came on board at the ESU, which was about 6 years ago, it was a very different time. And I was told, okay, this is Josh. And those of you who remember Josh, and lovingly remember Josh, it was like, Josh was in his little box, and Josh did, I don't know, but the man never slept. The man worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And he did branches. And I said, that's terrific. He did a great job. He was wonderful. But I said, you know what? We all do branches. We all work for you. And I know at this particular point, Josh is no longer with us, but I think we have some amazing, talented people. And I just wanted you to get an idea of the current branch services organization chart. And all of these people work for you. And they're all geared to the growth of the organization and the branches. And all of their names and everything else is going to be redistributed in the directory that we handed out last year, but we're going to update it and send it out digitally again this year. So these are the people that all support you and are there to help. So I just wanted to bring that across, that we're not an organization with one director of client service or branch services, but we are an organization that's dedicated to you. And now, with that said, I want to introduce you to some of the talent that allows us to do what we do. And they're the staff that really makes me look really good. And I just want to introduce them and let them talk you through some programmatic highlights. So I think we're going to start with the National Shakespeare Competition and Mary Ellen Leoto. And if you don't remember last year, Mary Ellen is new to the organization. Unfortunately, Alice Yu was not here. She had some personal things she had to deal with. But she reports into Alice Yu, who's our Director of Educational Programs. And Mary Ellen was a Shakespeare mom. And she had, I can't say it, she was a Shakespeare mom. And she was part of our national competition, came back to the ESU when we were back in person at Lincoln Center. She saw what we had to offer, she liked us. And then when we were looking for a new manager, we put an ad out, and Mary Ann raised her hand, and we decided to hire her. So anyway, here she is.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm a Shakespeare mom. I'm a proud Shakespeare mom. I know there's others. I think you're Shakespeare dad. And Mary Way is a Shakespeare mom. The National Shakespeare Competition, it's been in existence since 1983. It's engaged over 425,000 students since its inception. It is the ESU program that engages with the most ESU branches. Last year, we had 44 branches participate in the 2024 competition, which was our 41st annual competition. This, did I already move it? Those are our finalists, our semi-finalists in front of, that's our traditional photo in front of the fountain at Lincoln Center. So in 2024, we did as we always do, and we have an entire weekend of fun activities for the semifinalists and their families, who are also invited to participate. Teachers are as well are invited. And the weekend includes a welcome luncheon at ESU headquarters. There are performance workshops with professional actors. We have a double-decker bus tour of the city. And you see photos of some of these along the bottom. And then, of course, there's a Broadway show. And last year it was Kimberly Akimbo, which was a real favorite with the kids and the parents. So the winners for 2024. I've only been at 2 Shakespeare competitions, 2023 and 2024, but I have to say 2024 was, the kids were just amazing. Goosebumps all around for many of these performances. The winners were, on the left there is our 3rd place winner, Evelyn Hall. She's from the San Francisco branch. The 2nd place winner on the right is Willow Payton, and she was from our brand new West Virginia branch. They started, it was their first year with the competition, and they got someone all the way to 3rd place. She was amazing. And then, of course, Malachi White from New Orleans was just awe-inspiring. He did a Othello monologue that he was crying and audience members were crying. It was wonderful. I think it was unanimous. When they announced his name, all of the other students, the semifinalists, jumped up and gave him a standing ovation. They were chanting his name. It was really great. So those were our winners. We also have the People's Choice Awards that's been going on for several years, where the student performances can all be accessed online, and the entire ESU community can vote, so schools, family members. And this year, we had a little over 6,000 votes, I believe, for the People's Choice, and the winner emerged being Pierre Modlong-Bayan from the Kansas City branch, and she is pictured here with Jeff Schnabel on the left, representing Kansas City, and then of course Bill Kennedy, who's from Cleveland here, who's hosting us today, and also who provides the 1st place award of $1,000 for the People's Choice winner. And on the bottom right there are our top 10 finalists. They're just celebrating right before they went in to do their final performances. Also, during the academic year, as part of the Shakespeare competition, we do our Shakespeare writing program, and that allows students to just really have a connection with Shakespeare for those who aren't performers. So there are 2 writing competitions that we did last year. The first is called the I Am Shakespeare Sonnet Writing Contest, and students are asked to write a sonnet in Shakespearean form, iambic pentameter, so forth, and but based on, modern themes and their own lives. And our first place winner came from the Princeton branch in New Jersey, and the second and third place both came from our New York branches. And then after nationals, we do a competition called the Actor Speaks, and that's an essay writing contest where we ask students who have participated in the competition at any level, whether they didn't, they progressed just to through their high school or their branch, to talk about their experience and their journey learning Shakespeare, analyzing it, learning how to perform. And the winner of the essay contest, the first place winner, she's from the Boston branch, and she was also one of our top 10 finalists in New York City, Catherine Shaw. Second place was from our Miami branch, Louisa Padavisi Calves, and then finally third place was from New Orleans again, Charles Gottschalk. So looking ahead to 2025, we have some exciting things planned. First, we're proud to announce that we just received a $50,000 grant from the Achilles and Bodman Foundation, which will help us to do some of the things we have planned for 2025, including a new urban outreach initiative. It's Urban Libraries Outreach Initiative, actually. We're starting it in Newark, New Jersey, which is New Jersey's largest city. And a branch is being started within the Newark, housed at the Newark Public Library. They have great connections and are doing outreach into the Newark public school system. And as part of that program, we're going to have professional development for Newark teachers, also doing some monologue workshops on site at the library in Newark. And we hope to use that as that pilot as a model for other urban centers to sort of emulate and to show the types of partnerships that can be forged, not just with theater organizations, which happen a lot, but also with libraries. On the right, we have our Teacher Training Academy, the National Shakespeare Competition Teacher Training Academy, which we're starting this year under the Achilles and Bodman grant. And that's where we'll provide both Zoom and in-person professional development workshops for Shakespeare educators. They do earn PD credits for participating in those. And we're working with our partners at the Shakespeare's Globe in London and the Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust, as well as the Folger Shakespeare Library. Our first one will be held in late November, and our workshop leader will be Nick Walton, who's pictured there. He is a wonderful historian with Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust that I was able to meet, and I participated in his sessions and workshops when I was on the Page to Stage program this past summer. He's wonderful, and I think I could just listen to him all day. So that's what we have planned for 2025. Looking forward to another great year of Shakespeare. Oh, question?
Do you have a date for the competition?
Unfortunately, we never really can confirm that date until after January because we're sort of at the mercy of Lincoln Center. We want to be back at the Mitzi Newhouse Theater again this year, and because of their productions coming in and out, we have to choose a Monday where we can just get in. But we're hoping for the last weekend of April, which I think is April 26th. That's the target. Any other questions about Shakespeare? Okay. Karen mentioned that Alice Yule isn't here. She actually this weekend she's helping to run a middle school debate program at the Dalton School in New York City. So she's busy this weekend, and I am going to stumble through her programs, or review them, I mean, and I'll start with the secondary school exchange program. Okay, so the Secondary School Exchange Scholarship or SSE, has been around since 1928. It's a merit-based gap year full scholarship for students to study in the U.S. and the U.K. after high school graduation and prior to beginning college. The top left picture is some of the U.S. students following the yearly Thanksgiving dinner at Dartmouth House, which is the lovely headquarters in London, of ESU in London, that members should really visit when you're in London. Take advantage of that, any of their programs as well. The middle picture is, on the bottom there, is Jasmine Sandar, an ESU UK student who studied in the US and is now actively involved in the UK with the ESU. And the right photo are U.S. students at a pre-departure orientation this summer. It was the first time we were able to do that in person at ESU headquarters since COVID. Next is the Leward Morse Scholarship. It's a merit-based full scholarship for students from historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, to study for one semester in the UK during their junior year. Thanks to Quinn Pieper, we were honored to be invited last March to the British Ambassador's residence in DC to celebrate the positive impact of the ESU Leward Morse Scholarship on so many lives. You can see in the middle picture there that many of the alum who came from around the country, many alum came to join the celebration from around the country. Many of the Leward Morse alum have lifelong connections to the ESU, such as board member Gregory Buck, who's here this weekend, and it was an integral part to the continuation and the growth of the program. And as with the SSE scholarship, we're fortunate to have an active advisory and scholarship committee that's composed almost entirely of scholarship alum, as you'll see in the picture on the right. Next is TLAB, the Travel and Learn Abroad program, which has been in existence since 1957. The ESU is one of the only organizations that gives scholarships not just to students but to teachers as well, to continue their own professional development for 2 to 3 weeks in the UK at Oxford, Edinburgh, and Shakespeare's Globe in London. Here we have pictures of many of the happy, grateful teachers that are now alum. The participants are already connecting with each other and their ESU branches to see how they can give back to their branches and communities. The middle picture, you can see Sean Adler smiling right in the front center. He studied English literature at Oxford this past summer, and thanks to the generosity of the ESU Princeton branch, he's already made an amazing presentation, which we will make accessible to other branches that have offered to help the NSC. He's also offered to help the National Shakespeare Competition in Newark as well. Then there is Travel and Learn Abroad TLAB for lifelong learners. The ESU also offers a one-week dynamic travel and learn program, perfect not only for teachers, but also friends and colleagues. Branch members and board members board members, colleagues have all gone to Stratford upon Avon and Oxford at Christ Church College. Many of you who heard Mary Way speak yesterday know that she first became involved with the ESU with Southwest Shakespeare's participation in the Shakespeare competition after she participated in the Page to Stage program in Stratford. And Mary is planning to return again. So you went 2 years in a row planning to return for a third year because it's that good. I was on the trip with them last year, and it is. I can totally see why people just keep coming back year after year. And finally, middle school debate. It's founded in 2011 in partnership with Claremont McKenna College. It's the ESU's, the middle school debate program teaches students in grades 5 through 8 fundamentals of critical thinking and language arts skills through public speaking. The program is an adaptation of the parliamentary model of debate. And that's, oh, and also finally, the International Public Speaking Competition. This is run from the ESU of the Commonwealth, which is, it's similar to the National Shakespeare Competition in that it's an educational and a cultural weekend with workshops at Dartmouth House, and there's sightseeing in London, and it's a wonderful experience for the kids involved. We're just now receiving the 2025 information for this program, and we'll be updating the ESU website with the topics and the deadlines so that branches nationwide can share the opportunity with their local schools. Thank you.
National Public Speaking Competition for one of the programs that we are in the expansion mode on. I was talking to John Rampey, who is new to our board. I know the Sandhills branch is very much involved in middle school debate. It's a program that we're hoping to roll out into more branches. We feel it's a great feeder to the International Public Speaking Competition, which we hope to evolve into a similar model to the Shakespeare competition, where the winner in the United States could go and compete internationally with international students in London once a year. So that's on our books in terms of moving forward. Now I think I'd like to introduce the next slide, I think is Carl, correct? Yeah. Okay. Rona Weiss, who is our Director of Immigrant Services, unfortunately could not make it today, but in her stead we have Carl Hart. I mean, Carl Hart has worked for the ESU for almost 10 years. He started out as an education coordinator and has been kind of the backbone, one of the backbones of the immigrant programs. So he's going to talk to you about our ARNIC program, which is the program that we run out of the New York headquarters, but also our English in Action across America. So Carl, thank you.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to talk about our immigrant program. So we have 2 programs run out of New York City. The first is English in Action, which is a very simple idea. We match learners of English with native speakers for weekly conversation practice. And the program is really based in how we all learn languages in real life. So you learn it very naturally through conversation. The goals of the program are to increase English proficiency for students, help them to build confidence, and also to provide them with a window into U.S. life. So the volunteer native speakers help to share about U.S. culture and English culture, English-speaking culture, with the students. It also promotes cross-cultural exchange because the volunteers in the program learn more about the cultures of their students. and it also engages our volunteers in lifelong learning. So the program has, in New York City, about 250 students and 250 volunteers, so there are a lot of people involved in this program. A cornerstone of the program is support for volunteers. So our volunteer manager, Matt Hudson, does a great job in training and supporting all of the volunteers in the program, and that's really, I think, apparent in the retention that we have in this program. So we have several volunteers who have been serving for 20, 25 years in this program because they love it so much. Last year, the volunteers gave 38,000 hours total. And for the students, there was a lot of positive outcomes as well. So 83% said after 1 year in the program that they feel that they're more fluent in English, and 87% are more confident in speaking English. And something to add here is that as we go ahead with these programs, we really want to do a better job in engaging these 250 volunteers as members, hopefully in the New York branch, and also potentially as funders of the program. Something new that we've spoke about for those of you that were at the breakout session is English in Action across America. So this is something that came out of the pandemic, and now that we're in the post-pandemic world, it's continuing. And what it is an extension of English in Action into the branches. And so it really functions as a partnership between National and the branches. And so National provides students from our Andrew Romaine New Immigrant Center, and the branches provide volunteers. And so far, the ESU Denver branch has been doing a fabulous job, running this program out of their branch. And I think in the years ahead, we really want to continue to engage as many branches as possible. So any of you who may have missed the breakout session, we would love to speak with you. You can email any member of the immigrant programs team, but especially Matt Hudson, who manages all of our volunteers. And the goal of this program is really to help give branches a new way to grow and diversify their membership, to engage volunteers, and to share the unique culture and traditions of their own specific regions. So yeah, this is a really nice initiative, and we hope to see it grow in the year ahead. The second program that we run of our immigrant programs is, of course, the Andrew Romaine New Immigrant Center, or ARNIC. And ARNIC basically facilitates the integration of recently arrived immigrants into U.S. society. And we help, through this free program, we help the immigrants develop the skills and competencies that they need to have successful lives here in the United States. So, as I said, it's a free program, and we offer 4 types of services. So first are our English language classes, which are taught out of the ESU headquarters, and we have a team of actually 10 contract ESL teachers who have a lot of experience in this area. They teach our courses. Then the second part of the program are one-to-one conversations. So all of the students at ARNIC also participate in the English in Action program. The third area are our career services, which we'll talk a little bit more in a bit. And the fourth pillar of the program is civic and cultural learning, which take the form of field trips to cultural institutions and government agencies in New York City. So those are the key services that this program offers. The goals of the program are to increase language proficiency for new immigrants, help them to build their professional and social networks, remove barriers to success, and to promote their full integration and reduce social isolation. A bit about the last year. So last year we served nearly 400 new immigrants in the New York City area. They were very diverse as usual. So there were more than 60 countries represented, including many such as Ukraine, Venezuela, Burma, China, and others. We offered 64 individual English classes with 1,000 hours of instruction. And to join the program, immigrants need to fill some requirements, including they need to be new immigrants here in the U.S. for less than 5 years. They need to have a documented immigrant status that enables them to live in the United States. They need to have a demonstrated financial need, so we look at their incomes to make sure that it's not above a certain amount, because this is a free program, and we want to help those that can't pay for services on their own. It's for adults, so all of the immigrants are 18 years or older, and a very important aspect of this program is it's for intermediate level learners, so it's not for total beginners. And you may be surprised to know, but it's actually a very highly educated group of immigrants. So nearly 70% have at least a bachelor's degree or higher. But they face a lot of barriers as new immigrants here. So maybe they were an engineer, maybe they were a manager or a professor in their native country, but when they come here, they don't always have the language skills to work in that area. So a lot of them are impacted by unemployment and very low incomes. So that's a little bit about who we're serving. But the nice thing about our program is that we really know that it has an impact on these immigrants. So last year there were 180 graduates of the center, and 100% of them said that they improve their English through our program, which I think really speaks to the effectiveness of this program. And 92% actually said that they now feel that they have the English to work in a professional level job here in the United States. And this photo here is just a picture from the recent graduation, and you can kind of see how happy the graduates are to be celebrating. And with the RNIC program, we've been working over the past few years to really grow and expand. And one area that we're really trying to grow is our career services, or what we call our workforce development program. So these are comprehensive services to help the immigrants develop the career skills that they need to thrive in the U.S. job market. And this includes a one-to-one professional mentoring program, which is really great, because what we've done here is bring in seasoned U.S. professionals, many of whom are corporate employees, and they work one-to-one with the immigrants through this mentoring program. We have an individual career advising service. We have a part-time career advisor, and the immigrants can book sessions with him to work on things like resume writing, goal setting, preparing for interviews. So that is a really nice addition to our services. We have also developed specialized English classes that kind of bring together learning English with career skills. And something else is we do many special events, often with local employers like banks, to do career days or mock interview days with the immigrants, and that's very effective. And something else we do with these special events are panel discussions focusing on specific career areas, and one that we have planned that I think is really great is in the area of healthcare, and actually Daryl McCormick will be joining us as a panelist for that in November, so that's also very exciting. And all of these new services have been made possible in part by a major grant of $100,000 from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. So I'll just close by showing you some of the impact numbers of the new career services, and I think the one that really stands out is among the mentees in our mentoring program, after just 3 months in this program, unemployment went down by 23%, from 69% to 46%, which I think for anyone who has been looking for a job, you know it takes time. So I think this number is really impressive. So yeah, we're just looking ahead to another successful year with our immigrant programs.
The main thrust of that message is the fact of opportunity, and I think particularly with the English in Action model that we've created, it's a great opportunity to explore within your branch. And I've got to tell you, the staff is very good in terms of mentoring and in terms of training. So if you're interested in English in Action, I know the potential for volunteers who would really become part of your branch and part of the ESU is a lot there. So I would encourage you to speak with Matt or to Matt Hudson about, really exploring that opportunity. Now I'd like to introduce introduce DeAndre Short. As many of you know, last year, I think it was last year, time is going so quickly, Kathy Morissette, who was our membership coordinator, resigned after she retired after 25 years. And it was kind of a challenge for us to figure out how we fill those shoes. And at the same time, you know, what we had on the agenda was this whole movement into digital membership renewal and also rolling renewal. I have to tell you that when I interviewed DeAndre, it was via Zoom, I knew within 5 minutes that I wanted to hire him. He's from Virginia, and he's a theater kid. I mean, he's a playwright and is very talented, loves the theater, loves performing arts, but also has an amazing background in arts membership management. He's brought a lot to the table. I know he's been working with many of you. I mean, you know, far be it from us to not always hire somebody and drop them in the middle of an inferno. But we have done that with DeAndre, and he really is performing quite well. And he's been, I know, working with many of you through this digital membership renewal, and he's been doing a fine job. You know, we've got a lot of challenges, and I think he's been taking them head on and trying to refine the process and move everything forward. So now I just want DeAndre to give us some top-line membership update, okay?
Hello, everyone. So, membership for the 2023 to 2024 year. So, right now we have 62 branches across the country, 25 MMOAs, and 37 BMOAs. Right now we have about, since June 30th of 2024, 3,112 members across all the branches. So just some housekeeping. I'm sure you already know this. Prior to June 1st, 2016, the branches were largely unincorporated entities with no legal status. The LLC was implemented throughout the 2016-2017 fiscal year with the national organization as the sole member or single member. Branches could formed as an LLC with one of two operating agreements, a board management operating agreement, a BMOA, or a member managed operating agreement, an MMOA. While the branches are considered disregarded entities in the eyes of the IRS, they still have to complete local state compliance. Because of these branches only having tax-exempt status throughout the national organization, the ESU files a single tax return instead of two returns every year. The branches determine their own dues levels, additional categories for giving their own local programming, and in the case of BMOAs, control their own finances. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about the happy hour program. So we have about 11 to 14 speakers annually. The content is curated totally by the branches. The registration usually averages over 100%. As you can see, the times do different everywhere, so I guess that means that it is 5 o'clock somewhere all the time. Now, the first three have happened from Series 9 already. Now, you have the next one, which is on November 6th with Louise Muse's Poetry Theater New York event. Then after that, we have one on December 11th with the Adrian Hesketh History of Christmas Carols by Central PA. And then come the winter/spring, we have Series 10, starting off with Catherine Carter Churchill's Citadel Cardwell and Gathering Storm in Lexington, Virginia. And then we have the next one, same month, January 29th, Deborah Rhodes, I stole Monet from my client Smith with the Sand Hills branch. Then you have February 19th, the Caroline Gunn, Worlds of Glaciers with Kansas City. You have the March 12th, James Kelly, George, I'm bad with Roman numerals, so the Richmond branch. And then you have Dr. Andrew Levy, Mark Twain, and Huck Finn, Indianapolis. The Naturalist one for April 23rd, Sand Hills. You have March 14th, John Vigor, A Chip Off the Queen Victoria's Block, Central PA. And then you have June 4th, Mark Lorhorn's History of Shakespeare Theater, the Hawaii and Seattle branch.
So I know that DeAndre led a very good session yesterday morning on membership, and one of the key discussions on that was really about you kind of giving us. We really feel like membership growth also has to be tied to membership services and membership offers. So we were really soliciting your ideas. We have some as to how we improve our membership offers and what we offer our members. So thank you again for participating in that. I mean, there'll be many, many more discussions on these topics. I want to thank DeAndre for the work that he's doing with the digital membership. We're doing quite well, by the way. I think that the members seem to be adapting quite well in certain areas. It's amazing to me that some branches have come to us and said, we need paper, we need paper, we need paper. We're sending out the paper, and then the people are going online and renewing online. So you never know. I think any kind of change is difficult, and I think we've been picking up a lot of dust, but thank you all for working with us. I think we're going in the right direction. I also want to give a shout out to Karen Libran and the rest of the Happy Hour Committee for the work that they're doing as a key component of our membership connection and partnerships and growth within the area. So thank you, Karen. I think that, does anybody have any questions of me at the moment? You know where to find me. Now I'm going to introduce Julia Vanderwater, and Julia's been involved with ESU for a very long time. I'm very happy to say that we relaunched in the latest format the Wrench Speaker Series right before COVID. Literally, we a month before COVID, and we had to shut it down. And we brought it back because of the generosity of one of our board members, Donald Best, who allowed us to create this endowment, who is giving it availability, making it available to all of you in perpetuity. But we knew also that it needed some reinvention, it needed some polish, it needed a lot of work. So we launched it, we got it up and running right after COVID again. And as a vehicle to kind of bring it to the next level of really using it as a real membership tool and membership service, we decided to create the Wrench Committee. And Julia has been very gracious in terms of offering to chair that committee. So I'm going to introduce Julia now, who's going to talk a little bit about the work of the committee and some of her thoughts.
Good morning. I know that you've had a lot of people who've talked about different aspects of it, and I won't repeat the information, but we are exceedingly grateful to Don Best for his financial support of this program. I would like to... If you don't know Donald, he's back here. Donald, would you stand up? The committee has has a lot of things, moving parts. And what we're trying to do is to do several things. We've had some guidance from Quinn and from Karen of things that they would like us to do in this program. And so to some respect, we do ask you to be patient. I know a lot of you have found me and have talked and said, gee, I want a wrench speaker. We have had, first of all, I'd like to introduce the people who are here. Polly Cox is here, and she's on our committee. There she is, there's Polly. We also have Barbara Hughes, who's here today, and Robin Sinclair, who's here. So, we have two other people who are on the committee, Dr. Ann Hall and Ellen LeCompte. And what we're trying to do is to take a look at the kinds of people that branches are interested in. Some people have been very forthcoming about what they don't want. And so, you know, if you have people that you'd like to have considered as a possible wrench speaker, I hope that you'll get in touch with us and provide us information. The committee talks about it. They look at if they can find someone actually giving a speech online, so that these are people who aren't reading papers, scholarly papers. We want people to relate to the people with whom we're speaking, and so your input is very important. So please make sure that you let us know if there are people that you think should be considered by the committee. And so, can we go to the next slide? There we go. So we've had two people this year, and Elizabeth Bigelow is the person who has been arranging from them, and I've been reading hundreds of emails over the last couple of months of her trying to move these people around the country, and that that has become a very expensive component. And so one of the things that we're going to look at this spring is the actual cost. And we want to, so Baroness Meyer was talking and moved around, and Sally Bedell Smith, who I had gone to Richmond to hear her speak about her new book, which is on the royal family during World War II. And so we want these to be things, to be speakers who will engage in the branches, and we need to, you know, and also are speaking on topics that are of interest to you. So that's another issue. Tell us the kinds of speakers that you'd like to see. You know, we're trying to meet the branch, I mean, I'm a branch president, so trying to meet the needs of the branches, and also to make sure that we have people, you know, that these are not meetings that are conducted in living rooms, that you invite people who are potential members. It's a great marketing tool for membership. And so, so Sally has just come back, and she wrote the kindest letter back to which I saw, and she was very gracious about that. But please make contact with us. One, what kinds of people you'd like to have come, so we can search those out. And if you have specific names of people that you would like us to consider. And the committee is going to reactivate in the spring. What we're trying to do now is to assess what went on this fall, and so what worked, what didn't work. We're also trying to help branches who need programming that will attract people to their branches. So there are lots of little reasons why we do this, and we're very, very pleased that this one has been reactivated. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
I know there's been a lot of talk about the task force, and the task force is now chaired by the president of our Atlanta branch, Susan Phillips. And I'm going to invite Susan Phillips up to give us an update on so many of you'll hear about
everyone. What I have to say does not match exactly with the order of the slides, so if you'll forgive me for that. I am here to talk about the task force. The task force is a team comprised of national and branch leadership and was formed for the purpose of ensuring sustainability of the ESU organization in a changing world. I am the president of the Atlanta branch and was honored to be asked to chair this committee. I am definitely bringing a branch perspective, but I am also taking away some new perspectives on Karen Karpowicz's and her team's commitment to work with the branches to create a positive and effective team atmosphere. The greatest example of this is the task force itself, which has members from our national office as well as many in leadership from the branches. The hard reality is that sustainability is ultimately about resources, so there has rightfully been a lot of focus on fundraising and the budget. Fundraising is a specific area requiring expertise and relationships, and Robin Merle, who is an expert, has been hired as the consultant to assist Karen in this complicated area. I have confidence in both Karen and Robin and am secure in the fundraising plan they have worked together to develop with other staff at National as well as the task force. I did start with a healthy dose of skepticism, but I am very confident with the plan. The task force is also focused on using new digital technologies to become state-of-the-art in our messaging and communications. These technological implementations will also ultimately improve the members' experience as well as save time and costs. Simply put, this focus on technology is about the national and branch websites, which include the CRM software, and the expansion of email and social media communications. CRM software is the state-of-the-art and allows the user of the website to interact directly, to renew memberships, etc. Again, it is critical. Without it, we will lose the next generation of members and leaders. With respect to the website, this is headed up by Jeff Schnabel, who I've dealt with directly on this project. I can say wholeheartedly that we are lucky to have such a competent administrator, and he is doing a first-class job on this enormous task. Finally, Robin Merle has also been working as a consultant on the branding of the ESU with Karen and the task force. We must market the ESU by clarifying and focusing our purpose to attract a new generation of leaders and advocates. It is natural and necessary for all organizations to have changes in order to adapt to a changing world. We are doing this, but we are only adding to and not subtracting from all of our wonderful current programs. The ESU pie is not getting smaller, but it is expanding, and this is good for the branches as well as National. Please join us in supporting this team effort of National and the branches in our common purpose of enhancing the positive experience of our members, which will ultimately also benefit the recipients of our wonderful work. This is a win-win for everyone.
Thank you, Susan. Susan, I always like to give her recognition. She is a new president of Atlanta. How long?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, and Atlanta was firmly entrenched with some people who didn't want to let go. And we had a session yesterday about rotation of officers, about how important it is to get new blood into the board of your local branch. And Susan has come along and has revitalized the Atlanta branch. I personally have been supportive. I've been to Atlanta twice. And let me just say, any branch who needs needs help, feel free to call on National. Feel free to call on me. I'm happy to show up. I was at Savannah last weekend. I had a great time. I have always had a great time getting out into the branches, meeting people, becoming available, and helping you with your needs as far as membership and fundraising, etc. So I mentioned earlier the patron tours, which came back with the Queen Mary 2 years ago, and that trip we landed at Southampton and we went to some great historic houses of England, Knoll, Hever Castle, and Hatfield House. And then we had a wonderful dinner at Dartmouth House. Last year, or I keep saying last year, but it was just a month ago, we went to Veneto, where we had another fabulous trip for the patrons. Next year is going to be on this Sea Cloud cruise. The Sea Cloud was Marjorie Merriweather Post ship. How many of you are familiar with Marjorie Merriweather Post? How many, well, it's postal cereal, which I was eating some this morning. And how many of you have been to Hillwood, her house in Washington, D.C.? It's outstanding. Anyway, this is we're actually we're going on a newer version of the Sea Cloud. I think they have a portfolio of maybe 3 or 4 ships. Anyway, Laura Frazier is a dear friend of ours, and Laura came, I guess, in 2018 when New Orleans had an annual convention, and the theme that I chose, I was president, and the theme I chose was biography, so who better than Laura Frazier to invite to speak on biography. Laura did a biography. She typically does Regency period women that are scandalous and interesting, and she did Lady Hamilton, which was Emma, the mistress of Sir William Hamilton. And Nelson was the guy she hung out with, who made some quite interesting accomplishments in naval history in Britain. And so, moving from talking about writing about females, she is now taking on a biography of Nelson, which I think comes out in 2027. So I talked to Laura about getting on this ship, and I think we get on in Naples. We will go through Sicily and land in Malta. So Laura is going to be our leader, and our leaders on this trip usually give us a lecture an hour a day, but they're also fun people at cocktail hour. Laura can certainly hold her on at a bar. And so this will be July 6th to 14th, Naples to Malta. We might add, with Count Alufi, who did this trip in Italy, we might add a few days starter, maybe 2-3 days in Naples, because he has access to wonderful Palazzi and other places of historic interest here. Well, I hope to see you on this trip. I think we can have the next slide. Okay. So, next I want to call Karen Blair-Brand. Karen has been very instrumental in starting the Happy Hour program, which started around COVID time and kept really members engaged and involved at a time during lockdown when we couldn't meet in person. So, Karen is going to do the Grassroots Committee recognition. Karen, thank you.
Thank you, Quinn. I'd like to thank Quinn and Karen Karpowitz both for giving us the platform to develop a committee of grassroots people from around the country to find out what the members want and how we can recognize and acknowledge all their volunteer time. And so I'd like those members just to stand that are here. And I want to show you, please stand. Please just stand. There's several members that are not here, and I think that's Paul Bogosian, Katie Niskin, and I think that's it. Julie. Oh, Julie. Yes, Julie Jardine from New Orleans. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. I'd like to call up another colleague from Pennsylvania. I'm president of the Central Pennsylvania branch. Judith Branches, would you come up? All of you have a program in your packet. And this has everything in it about our recognition program. And so if you look at that, you'll find all the information. We have 46 people we'll be acknowledging today with this process. A lot of them are here, but the presidents or the branch will be getting the information. Judith, take this for a minute. And I want to show you also something that on behalf of the ESU Recognition Committee and our colleague, Jeff Schnabel, who's so good at Canva, we took some of the information that Deborah Unger gave us, and we put together a little, basically, who we are, what we do, our mission, and then put the programs on the back. These are for you to take home. And Karen, we did this on behalf of ESU USA. We wanted to give something back to you for thanking you for giving us what you do, all of you, in the time and the ability to be part of the ESU. And Judith, take it from there. I'm going to step back and let one of my colleagues take it a little further.
Good morning, esteemed members and guests of the English-Speaking Union. Today we gather not just to celebrate our shared passion for the English language and culture, but to honor those who have tirelessly worked behind the scenes to make our organization thrive. A few years ago, the ESU Grassroots Recognition Committee was formed with a noble purpose: to increase appreciation for those dedicated to the ESU at the branch level and to raise awareness of the need to acknowledge our volunteers. This committee, comprised of representatives from 9 ESU branches, has worked diligently to create a framework for recognizing our unsung heroes. Through their efforts, 3 honors have been established. First, the Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing consistent and long-term commitment to the ESU and local branches. 2, the Excellence in Leadership Award, honoring those who are a reliable and steadfast leading presence within their branches. And 3, Branch Honors, acknowledging members' accomplishments in branch activities, whether through time, talent, or treasure. This fall, we invited branch leaders to nominate candidates for these awards. The response was heartening, with 12 branches putting forward 46 exceptional individuals. Before I announce the honorees, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to the committee members who made this recognition possible: Paul Bogosian, Barbara Hughes, Julie Jardine, Bill Mashmeyer, Kate Nitskin, Susan Phillips, Julia Vandewater, and our dedicated leader who spearheaded these efforts, Karen Blair Brandt. In a moment, we will announce the names of our honorees. While not everyone is present today, we ask that those who are here to come up to the podium when their name is called. In the spirit of celebrating all of our recipients equally, we kindly request that you hold your applause until all the names have been read. These individuals represent the heart and soul of our organization. Their dedication, passion, and tireless efforts embody the very essence of the English-Speaking Union. They are the pillars upon which our community stands, and today we have the privilege of expressing our gratitude for their invaluable contributions. Let us now proceed with the recognition of these remarkable individuals and couples who have given so much to our organization. And I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name. The Lifetime Achievement Award honorees are Marletta Eddy from Shreveport, Dr. Kathleen Lyons, Kentucky, Charles Madry, Atlanta, Carolyn Peterson, Colonial, North Carolina, Jean Bruce Poole, New Orleans, Natalie Prey, Greenwich, Dr. George Ray, Lexington, Virginia. The Excellence in Leadership Award honorees are Jackie Abrahams, Central Florida, Ellen Alley, Shreveport, Frank Barber, Central Florida, Dan Bukovac, Kansas City, Barbara Callahan, Palm Beach, Gilda Gomez, Central Florida, Barbara Hughes, Central Florida, Ben Martin, Kansas City.
Please come up if your name is called.
Jan McClure, Central Florida, Maurice O'Sullivan, Central Florida, Karen Pope, Austin, Patricia and Susan Wilson, Seattle. Branch honors go to Central Florida, Brett Carrier, Rita Jackson, Elaine Lagler, Dr. Gerald Schiffhorst, Ovid and Sharon Vitas, Greenwich, Susan Baker, Bridget Harry, Frederick Bucker, Robert Curry, B. Crumbine, Jonathan Dubois, Ann Hall Elsner, Dean Gamenos, Beatrice Harper, William Herrick, Michael Kovner, Peter LeBeau, Ralph McDermott, John Moore, Susan Ness, Etta Peterson, Valerie Stouffer. From Palm Beach, James Stark. From Seattle, Allison Ellison. And from Shreveport, John Bubalik. Now you may applaud. Thank you.
And I just wanted to say, if the person is not here, everything will be sent to the branch or the branch president. Only those that were here and present, we actually will receive their certificate. Yes, Bart?
Rita Jackson is here.
Okay, well, that will be sent then. That will be sent. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Karen Karpowitz. Thank you, Dr. Clint Pieper. And thank you, Deborah, for all that you helped us with.
Thank you very much for that very important aspect of our organization, as it was said there, the heart and soul of ESU. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn the program over to Jan and Barbara. Jan and Barbara of the Central Florida branch in the beautiful Winter Park, Florida.
Good afternoon, I'm Barbara Hughes, and this is Jan McClure, but I'll introduce her again. I'd like for you to please mark down on your calendars March 14th and March 15th, 2025. Because we are going to, the Central Florida branch is very delighted that we are going to have the Founders Award given in Winter Park. And it is in honor of someone very special, our own E. Quinn Paper. Quinn, you have devoted your life, and I don't know how you find time to do so, in between working and many of the other volunteer things that you do. But Quinn has spent a lot of time in the past, presently, and he's now leading us into the future. So this is an honor that you have really well deserved, my dear. He's charming, and he's erudite, and he represents the English-speaking union very, very well at all that he does. So it's going to be a great honor. And I live in Winter Park, and I have lived in Winter Park for over 60 years. It is a charming, really old world town. And the main street is called Park Avenue. And it is anchored on the South Park Avenue by Rollins College. And I happen to have graduated from Rollins College. And it was started in 1885. So we have a lot of history in Winter Park. But Rollins College has a well-known Knowles Memorial Chapel where Cram, beautiful architect, not only did the Rollins Chapel, but he also did the University of Notre Dame, and he also did the St. John's Divine in New York City. But as we move up the avenue, you're going to see beautiful shops. You're going to see wonderful dining places on the one side, on the right-hand side, and as you move further north, we have two beautiful parks, green parks with benches, fountains, and gazebos. And as you continue onward, you're going to see more shopping, more dining, and also we're going to come to the Morris Museum. And the Morris Museum has really probably one of the most comprehensive collection of Tiffany art. They have some beautiful lamps, they have beautiful jewelry, so many things. And we also have the Tiffany Chapel. And the Tiffany Chapel goes back to 1893 when it first made its entry into the World Exposition in Chicago. And it got lost in some basement somewhere, but finally was revived, and we now have it in the chapel at the Morse Museum. So we're hoping that you're going to have an opportunity. We're going to set up an opportunity for it to be available to you. Then we are anchored on the north part by a golf course and the Winter Park University Club, which is where we have our meetings every month. And so I hope you'll join us, but most particularly, not only in my wonderful Winter Park, but to honor our E. Quinn Pieper. I think that'll be delightful. We're looking forward to it. And I'm now going to turn it over to Jan McClure, who is president of the Central Florida branch. Jan?
Well, Barbara has left me to the Chamber of Commerce part. And coming to Winter Park, Florida in March is the most beautiful time of the year. I do not recommend you come in July and August. It's a little warm, but you'll be coming right at the time when all of our azaleas are in bloom in that beautiful Central Park that she mentioned. It's just gorgeous. Not too much rain that time of year. The temps are just about right. We have about a month of really ideal weather. The other 11 months are pretty hot. We have our beautiful downtown, which she mentioned. If you're into a little exclusive shopping, it's just marvelous to stroll along our Park Avenue. Friendly people, and our branch is very vibrant. We will be there at your elbow to do whatever needs to be done to make you feel welcome. And we have 4 of us here from Winter Park today, this weekend, that I'd like to introduce. Rita Jackson. Rita is one of our longtime members, and she was our longtime TLAB chair for many years. And Donna Miller. Donna is just cycled off of the national board after 2 or 3 terms of that. She was one of our early founders, and she's also a past president. And also Gilda, where are you, Gilda? Gilda Gomez. Gilda is our executive vice president right now. She is also / treasurer. So we have a lot of very vibrant, interested, hard-working people in our branch, so we will be there to welcome you.
Just one last comment. Some of the plans are, on Friday evening, we're going to have a cocktail party. And then on Saturday, I know we're having a board meeting in the morning, and then we're looking forward to perhaps setting up something at the Tiffany, at the Morse Museum, so that you have an opportunity to see the Tiffany, and hopefully we'll be able to get a docent to move you through the beautiful art museum. And then there's also, because Winter Park sits on a lake, we also have a fabulous boat tour, and that will take you through 3 lakes, through Lake Virginia, Lake Osceola, and Lake Maitland. And then we also, as I mentioned, that the North Anchor was a golf course. I don't play golf, but I have a number of friends that do, and they said if you want to play golf, you want to be sure to get your name on a list and get your tee time, because it's a very popular golf course, and it's just been renovated, I think maybe about 5 years ago. So we are looking forward to having you join us in Winter Park to honor E. Quinn Pieper.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Jan. Thank you for all the members of Winter Park. You get a gold star for so many of you showing up to the AGM. When I was told that I was receiving the Founders Award, I was thinking, where should this take place? And this is one of the branches that I visited. I love all the branches. But, you know, to come out of the winter doldrums of looking at the gray snow, there could be nothing better to be in Winter Park in March. So that's why we selected this weekend. And for those of you who golf, bring your golf clubs. For those of you who drink, bring your flasks. For those of you, we will have a wonderful, fun weekend. I think the idea is to have some fun here. There will be a board meeting so that if you can talk to your accountant. You might be able to write off the weekend. But it's going to be a fabulous time. I'm so honored to be the recipient of the award. We'll definitely make it worth your while if you go. Let me introduce to you the Countess of Derby. The Countess of Derby is a real go-getter as far as British peerage is concerned. The house that she lives in is called Knowsley Hall. Knowsley was renovated about 30 years ago when she became Countess. She and the current Earl have renovated the house. They've made it terrific. And she has made it available to us in the English-speaking union for our donors, who will be our top donors for the Founders Award. The Founders Award in Winter Park is going to be the kickoff of this capacity building campaign, which is so important for us to bring in funds to continue to do the work that you have heard about this morning, all the programs, all of the, we have certainly volunteers that we treasure and we adore, but we also have to have staff to implement these programs. All of this takes money, and the Founders Award is going to be the beginning of this capacity building campaign. You may have heard Robin Merle spoken about during the meeting. Robin Merle is the consultant that we've hired. Robin is absolutely fantastic. She meets with us regularly. I think it's like once or twice a week that I hear from Robin. Robin's track record is amazing. All you have to remember is one fact: 500 million in her career. That's what she's brought into nonprofit organizations, to universities like NYU, Bard University. What else? Hospital for Special Surgery, orthopedics. So she is a woman of many talents and a great staff, and she's helping us achieve this goal, which I think is going to be a really milestone in terms of ESU development. Anyway, the Countess of Derby is going to make Knowlton Hall available for us. Knowsley Hall available for us for the weekend, for a Downton Abbey type weekend for our donors. So I think people will arrive on a Friday. She has 20 bedrooms, and you can look at the pictures of these bedrooms. They're quite well appointed in the Colfax and Fowler tradition of English country houses. There'll be dinners, and Knowsley has enough treasures in the house. We're just going to spend the whole weekend there. Also on the property they have, or near the property, they have what you can look up in the online as Shakespeare North. They have a copy of the Globe that has been built in the last few years that they're going to show us around for that as well. She is a writer. Her book comes out in 2025. I think those of you who come to Winter Park, you'll get a copy of her book, and she is actually coming to Winter Park. She's going to come and talk. She also wants to participate in other endeavors with ESU, and I'm also co-chairman of the William Faulkner Society in New Orleans, and she's going to come for the Faulkner Weekend at the end of September of 2025 as well. So this is a nice addition to our weekend in Winter Park, and a nice addition to ESU. I think she's going to be a good, stalwart friend and supporter. Are there any questions about Winter Park? You know who to contact about Winter Park. You can call Barbara and Jan.